For thousands of years, history told us that power belonged to men. Yet in ancient Egypt, one of the world's oldest civilizations, women did something almost no other society allowed. They ruled as kings. Not as queens beside a man, not as caretakers for sons, but as pharaohs, wielding absolute political, military, and religious authority. Some ruled in times of peace. Others rose during moments of national crisis. And one ruled so successfully that later kings tried to erase her from history entirely. This is the true, documented history of powerful female pharaohs and rulers, women whose authority reshaped Egypt and influenced the ancient world, even as later generations tried to erase their names. Ancient Egypt was not egalitarian by modern standards, but it possessed a unique political philosophy. The pharaoh was not simply a king. He, or in rare cases, she, was the living embodiment of divine order, responsible for maintaining ma'at, balance, justice, cosmic stability. In theory, the role was male. In practice, continuity mattered more than tradition. Egypt's survival depended on an unbroken line of authority. When no adult male heir existed, or when crisis threatened collapse, women stepped into power. Unlike in Greece or Rome, Egyptian women could own property, inherit wealth, initiate divorce, and conduct legal affairs independently. This legal autonomy made political authority possible under extraordinary circumstances. Female rule was rare, but when it happened, it was decisive. The earliest confirmed female pharaoh in Egyptian history was Sobekneferu, who ruled from approximately 1806 to 1802 BCE at the end of the 12th dynasty. Her brother, Amenemhat IV, died without a male heir, leaving Egypt vulnerable to instability. Rather than allow civil war or dynastic collapse, Sobekneferu assumed full royal power. Her reign lasted only about 4 years, but its importance far outweighed its length. She adopted full royal titulary, including the throne name, the Beauty of Sobek, aligning herself with the crocodile god associated with kingship and fertility. Unlike later female rulers, she did not fully masculinize her image. Surviving statues show a deliberate blend of male and female royal attributes, signaling legitimacy without concealment. She completed building projects begun by her predecessors and maintained administrative stability during a critical transition. After her death, the dynasty ended. What followed was not immediate collapse, but fragmentation, as Egypt entered the Second Intermediate Period, marked by divided rule and growing foreign influence. Sobekneferu's reign established a lasting precedent. When dynastic survival demanded it, a woman could rule as pharaoh and be accepted. Not all power in ancient Egypt was exercised from the throne. Around 1550 BCE, during the Second Intermediate Period, Egypt was divided between native rulers in the south and the Hyksos, a foreign dynasty, in the north. In this moment of crisis, Ahhotep I emerged as one of the most powerful women in Egyptian history, without ever formally ruling as pharaoh. Ahhotep was the wife of Seqenenre-Tau and the mother of Ahhotep I, the founder of the new kingdom. When her husband and later her son Kamosa died fighting the Hyksos, Ahhotep assumed control of Upper Egypt. Archaeological evidence from her tomb includes ceremonial weapons such as axes and daggers, suggesting military authority. An inscription credits her with uniting Egypt and pacifying rebels. She governed, maintained loyalty, and ensured continuity while her surviving son prepared to complete the reconquest of the north. Without Ahhotep's leadership, Egypt may never have reunified. Her power was not symbolic, it was strategic. No female ruler in Egyptian history ruled longer, built more, or governed more successfully than Hatshepsut, who reigned from approximately 1479 to 1458 BCE during the 18th dynasty. Born the daughter of Thutmose I, Hatshepsut became queen to Thutmose II. When he died, the throne passed to Thutmose III, a child born to a secondary wife. At first, Hatshepsut ruled as regent. Then she did something unprecedented. She took full royal titles and declared herself pharaoh. Hatshepsut did not hide her gender, but she adapted royal imagery. She wore the false beard, the kilt, and the crowns of kingship. Statues depicted her with a masculine body, not as deception, but as visual language in a male-coded institution. Her reign was not merely stable, it was prosperous. She launched massive construction projects across Egypt, including her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari, a masterpiece of symmetry and engineering. She restored temples neglected during earlier instability and emphasized diplomacy over warfare. Most famously, she sent a trading expedition to the land of Punt. Reliefs depict ships returning with incense trees, gold, ivory, and exotic animals, clear evidence of economic revival. Under Hatshepsut, Egypt thrived. After her death, Thutmose III ordered her name and images removed from monuments. This act was not personal revenge, it was political necessity. A successful female king threatened the ideological foundation of male kingship. Ironically, the attempt to erase her became proof of her legitimacy. Few women in ancient history are as recognizable or as debated as Nefertiti, who lived during the reign of Akhenaten from approximately 1353 to 1336 BCE. As great royal wife, Nefertiti stood at the center of Egypt's most radical religious transformation, the elevation of the Aten above all other gods. In official art, she appears performing rituals traditionally reserved for kings. She wears crowns associated with rulership and is even depicted striking enemies, a visual act of sovereignty. Late in Akhenaten's reign, Nefertiti disappears from the historical record. Some scholars believe she ruled as co-regent, or possibly even briefly as pharaoh under the name Nefertiti. This interpretation remains debated due to fragmentary evidence. What is undisputed is her influence. During a time of religious upheaval, political instability, and the eventual collapse of Akhenaten's reforms, Nefertiti stood at the center of power. Her authority demonstrates that formal titles were not the only source of rule. Another often overlooked female ruler is Tausret, who governed from approximately 1191 to 1189 BCE at the end of the 19th dynasty. Initially serving as regent for the young king Siptah, Tausret eventually assumed full pharaonic titles after his death. Her reign was short and troubled, marked by internal instability and weakening central authority. After her death, Egypt descended into civil war, and later rulers attempted to erase her memory, much like Hatshepsut before her. Tausret's story illustrates the limits of female rule when institutions are already collapsing. She did not cause Egypt's decline, but she ruled at its breaking point. The most famous and most misunderstood female ruler in Egyptian history is Cleopatra VII, who ruled from 69 to 30 BCE. She governed not during Egypt's rise, but during its final struggle for independence. Cleopatra was Macedonian Greek by ancestry, descended from Ptolemy I, a general of Alexander the Great. Yet she embraced Egyptian tradition, spoke the language, and ruled as pharaoh in both title and
address
practice.
you, priests
Her
of
reign was
Amarna.
defined by one inescapable force: Rome. Cleopatra aligned first with Julius Caesar, then with Mark Antony, not out of romance, but strategy. Egypt's survival
fate
depended
hangs in the
on
balance,
Roman
Cleopatra.
politics. She failed. In 30 BCE, after defeat by Octavian, Cleopatra took her
Egypt's
own
fate
life.
hangs in the balance,
Egypt
Cleopatra.
was annexed and became a Roman
Antony, you see my
province.
choices are not so
With
simple.
her death ended more than 3,000 years of pharaonic rule. The irony is stark. Cleopatra is remembered as a lover, while male rulers who lost empires are remembered as statesmen. Egypt was exceptional, but not alone. In Nubia, queens known as Kandakes ruled independently and led armies against Rome. In Assyria, Shamuramat governed as regent and later became mythologized as Semiramis. These women ruled not because societies were progressive, but because crisis demanded leadership. History often asks why female rulers were rare. It rarely asks why, when women did rule, they ruled so effectively. Hatshepsut brought peace. Sobekneferu preserved continuity. Ahhotep saved a nation. Cleopatra defied an empire. Their stories were minimized, rewritten, or erased, not because they failed, but because they succeeded in ways that challenged tradition. The final irony is this: ancient Egypt, often labeled rigid and patriarchal, allowed women to rule as kings thousands of years before many modern societies recognized women as political equals. Power in the ancient world was not about gender, it was about survival. And when survival was at stake, Egypt chose its strongest leaders, no matter who they were.
To endure, one must lead.